Hey, this is Don from Padlock Technologies again with a quick video. Got a question on SSL decryption on Palo Altos. Now, SSL decryption, I'm always going to be an advocate for doing that because it makes zero sense to have all these next generation firewalls with all these next generation features, and you can't actually do anything because you can't see the traffic because most traffic is going to be an SSL tunnel or SSL based or quick based. So quick is the new thing going on, right? So quick may be a problem for SSL decryption later on down the line. Probably gonna have to do quick decryption because the more those quick protocol kind of takes over, now SSL decryption won't work because if things are now communicating using quick, SSL decryption pretty much is useless at this point. But until then, we're still going to talk about SSL decryption on a Palo Alto. I believe I did a video on SSL decryption on Cisco FTDs. If I did, I'll put it somewhere over here, or wherever I'm pointing at this way, somewhere up in this area, if it's there. If not, I'll create one. Um, but we're going to go ahead and go to the lab here, and then I'm going to show you the SSL decryption. So let's go ahead and get into the lab. So we're at the lab here, we're at Palo, but it's the same lab that we've been working on, which is we have the active HA here. We have the active passive HA here. Now, since I'm pointing everything to the active, this is Palo Alto we're going to focus on. I'm doing a static route with a tracking object that forces all my default traffic to go out of the active. And then if that goes down for some reason, it'll go out the active passive. But I wanted to show you two flavors of active of HA. So we'll go in here and we are going to log in, and you probably notice something different here from a login perspective. I'm actually using my AD account, right? And I'm using TACX in the background to actually do this. So I do have ICE set up, and these are my ICE nodes right here. And I'm utilizing TACX to actually log in. You want me to do a video? I'll probably, I'm not going to ask if you want me to do a video. I'm going to actually do a video on how to do TACX on Palo Alto. So if you're utilizing ICE in your environment, you can still do authorization or authentication and authorization or device administration with Cisco ICE. So this is that whole ecosystem. Do they play together, play nicely? Cisco ICE is, again, top tier NAC solution. If you're going to utilize that, you should also be utilizing it to control who and what somebody can do when they log into a Palo Alto. So first things first, we're going to talk about SSL decryption. So SSL decryption, basically outbound decryption. This is what we're actually talking about. We're not talking about inbound decryption. We're talking about outbound decryption. So outbound decryption is basically a resign, a key resign. Basically, you do not own the key of the server you're trying to get to on the outside world. So the firewall will do a man in the middle attack, re-sign the certificate with its key, and then present it to you. So it's transparent to the user that, hey, the firewall is actually decrypting this traffic so it can expect it later. But that's basically what outbound decryption is. Now, inbound decryption would be the firewall presenting the certificate as if it's the server. So you on the outside would think, hey, I'm talking to the server, but really you're talking to the firewall. And then the firewall is actually talking to the server. So it's presenting you the certificate as if it was the server, but it's inbound. So that's the difference between inbound and outbound decryption. So very easy to set up on a Palo Alto, just like it's very easy to set up on an FTD. Like I'm going to keep stressing, these firewalls are pretty much the same now. These next generation firewalls are pretty much the same. It's all about ecosystem and what you feel comfortable with. If you're comfortable with Palo, go Palo. If you're comfortable with FTDs, go FTDs. If you have a Cisco ecosystem and you really love the integration, go with FTDs. Excuse me. Go with FTDs because FTDs can kind of in the Cisco ecosystem blends pretty well in the Cisco ecosystem because it's a Cisco product. If you're a Palo ecosystem, meaning you have Panorama, you may have Prisma Access, you might as well go Palo. There's no point of trying to, force a square peg in a round hole if you don't need to do it, right? So from a certificate standpoint for SSL decryption, you have to go to certificates first, right? So you have to first put in your internal CA certificate, so sub CA, root CA, the whole trust chain there. Then you're going to do a certificate signing request, which is a CSR. Now, on Palo Altos, it's a little different. So this SSL decrypt name, because you're going to give the certificate a name, right? Then you're going to go get it signed by your internal CA, and it has to be a SA or a subordinate authority certificate, because that's what's going to need for SSL decryption. That's what you need. So that the template you're going to use is the subordinate CA cert, right? Then when you import it into the Palo, so we do import here, the same certificate name that you named it when you did the CSR, you have to name it the same thing. Because if you don't do that, it will put another certificate underneath here and say it's not signed yet, it's not valid. That tripped me up when I first tried to learn Palo Altos because, on the FTD, you don't really have this problem. You do this would be the internal CA certificate on an FTD, and then when you get it signed, you upload it, and never you don't have to put in the same name. You just upload it to the same CSR request that you made in the FTD, and then it binds it together, and you're done. Palo Alto, that little extra step, the little extra got you will trip you up if you try to do it with a SSL certificate. Then you have a couple other things here. Um, Main one that I want to point you to is this SSL decryption exclusion list. Pretty cool. Cisco has the same thing as well, but you can do your exclusions from here. So with this, you can do your wildcard and say, hey, anything that fits into this wildcard address, just excluded from decryption. You will have to do this if you're trying to do updates to like Cisco ICE, like you're trying to download some more results from Cisco ICE, you actually have the wildcard Cisco SourceFire, the whole nine, because it tends to break ICE when it tries to reach out to get updates and stuff like that. So you do have to exclude the Cisco domain from decryption. And I believe I got that in here as well. Is it star.cisco, I think? Or, no, that's not going to be on this one. It's going to be on the PA one. It's going to be on this one here because this is the actual one that's going to my DC. Hopefully I didn't fat finger that one. All right. So the one I'm logging into is this one right here. Oh, let's get it here. Let's go to our, really hate that reminder that keeps popping up. And I believe I put it in here. Now, I will also tell you this. Since this is my lab, certain things I'm like pinging are really pinging the mess out of my lab. So certain things work and some certain things don't work. Like I have certain rules that are deny rules. You'll see if the hit count went up, but now it's not working for some odd reason. Rebooted, the whole lab still having an issue, even though it was working 3 minutes ago. So I'll say it's my lab. But here's the wildcard exclusion for Cisco.com, so I can get updates to ICE. When this was not there, it kept breaking it, and ICE kept saying, "Hey, I can't get to the FQDN because of some reason." And usually, when I see that, it's usually SSL encryption that's causing the break. So now that you got I told you about the decryption exclusion, and we talked about the certificates here. We're pretty much cooking at that point. There's nothing really else to do, right? From a SSL or the profile you do have to create, but you don't do anything in devices anymore. So now you need to go to objects, right? And then you need to go down to, where is this thing at? Decryption profile. So now you go to the decryption profile, and then you got to create your decryption profile that's going to be called in your decryption policy. So I created one called SSL decrypt. Now, these are some basic stuff. I didn't put any of this in here because this is just a simple SSL decryption video. Main thing you want to look at though is this SSL protocol settings, you want to make sure I just did the minimum was TLS 1.0. Nobody's really using that, but just in case, you want to be careful with that one. Inbound encryption, we're not worried about that because we're not doing inbound encryption. And then we have this SSL forwarding. This is the decryption. This is what Palo Alto calls SSL decryption, which is forward proxy, right? And on that FTD is just no, it's either it's decrypt and resign or it's known key. So known key is inbound decryption, decrypt and resign is outbound decryption. But Palo Alto calls it forwarding, right? So SSL forward proxy. Once you create that, now you go to your policy and you create your decryption policy, which is right here. When this comes up, we'll just open this up, or we don't really need to open it up. We just go straight through. So I just called it simple name. I usually have an allow and deny tag because then when I want to search for something, I can just search by the tags. We'll do the zone from LAN to WAN, and we're going to do this decrypt, and the type we're going to do is SSL forward proxy, right? And then we're going to use the SSL decryption profile. So if I open this up to give you a little bit more detail for this, this is where if you hit decrypt, you got the SSL forward proxy and you have the other options, but forward proxy is going to be the one that you're going to use for outbound. If this was an inbound one, you would do the inbound decryption policy or inspection policy, and then you'd have the SSL decrypt profile. Once all that's done and it's pushed out, you're ready to rock and roll, right? And what does that look like when you do SSL decryption? If you went back to my SSL decryption video for FTDs, pretty much the same thing, right? So you go to your security policies. The security policies is pretty much what you want to do for if you want to block something. Usually do SSL decryption for that, so it can inspect and tell you exactly what it is. You can't really have a bunch of functions like URL filtering and stuff like that without SSL decryption. You pretty much really limit your firewall or your internet firewall in this instance. You really limit it if you don't enable SSL decryption. You really can't do too much. Even your malware inspections, all that stuff. If you don't see what's in that SSL tunnel, you can't block a thread if you can't see it. I believe I have a shirt that says you can't protect what you don't inspect, right? So this is what I was talking about before, where my hit count was 24. So this rule was working at one point, and now it's not. It's for some reason it's not doing it. So I wish I could have showed you that. I'll try to figure out what's going on. It's probably something in the lab. So I'll just explain the rule here. So from LAN to WAN for this group, so this is user ID in Palo Alto. So this is user ID. FTDs, they call it realm, right? But it's still an identity policy. This one is called user ID. And then we were just blocking Facebook. And what we're going to do is we're going to reset the client. So it'll be a reset message on this side. Obviously, that got hit. And then the bad content is just, URL filtering category stuff. That's same thing on an FTD. Again, all these devices are pretty much the same. It's all about ecosystem. So what does that look like? So let me drag this over here. This is this machine here. Hopefully you've seen it. That's that machine there that we are currently looking at. And if we go to, let's go to NBA.com. And how you can tell SSL decryption is working. And now this is on a local firewall. If this was Cisco Secure Access or Prisma Access or Zscaler or Umbrella, you would see a different authority that's going to re-sign this. Now, again, I used a cert called SSL Decrypt. That's usually how I name my certs. So when we look at who signed the cert or who re-signed the cert, it should say Padlock Technologies, and it should say SSL, SSLDecrypt.plt.com. If this was Secure Access, it would say Cisco Secure Access. I think it says either sub CA in that certificate. If it was Umbrella, it would say the same thing with the Cisco Umbrella sub CA certificate. Prisma Access probably does the same thing. So if we get this out the way, and then we go up to the lock, And then we see connection secure. Now, when we click this button, it should say Padlock Technologies as long as my decryption is working and the firewall VM is not crashing out on me. So we hit this, and there you go. Verified by Padlock Technology. So this is a decrypt and resign. Decrypt the traffic, resign it with the known key or with the key that we trust. So we trust the sub CA. So it's going to show, hey, I trust the CA. If I didn't trust the sub CA, it would be a big red line going through it, say you don't trust this CA. And if we go to more information here, now Mozilla shows it a little different. I like how Chrome and Edge shows it. Edge, I think Edge shows it the best out of all like certificate information, but we're using Firefox for right now. So we view the certificate and we see this is the common name. So this is a wildcard. But as you can see, it is signed by issuer name is SSL Decrypt at PLT.com. So this is the, like I said, decrypt and resign when you do outbound SSL decryption. And that's really it, man. That's SSL decryption on a Palo Alto in a nutshell. It's simple on a Palo. It is simple on an FTD. It is simple on a Fortinet. Again, keep stressing this. It's about the ecosystem that you're comfortable with. This is Don from Padlock Technologies again. Hopefully this video was informative. Hope you appreciated it. If you like it, don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. My subscribers are going up, so I really appreciate that. If you have any questions on technology that you would like me to answer, going to be a video bumper at the end to tell you exactly where to send your emails so I can look at them and maybe I can answer it. I don't know everything, but I know a lot. And if I think that your question is worth a video response, I love all the questions. So no question is a stupid question. I will do a video response just like I did with this video, and I will tell you, hey, I'm doing a response on your video. Be on the lookout. Again, this is Don from Padlock Technologies again. Thank you, and have a nice day.